Wow, I just dropped my $800 camera.
Hey everybody! So in the last episode you guys saw me throw some coils in here and break my own axle from pulling on it like an idiot. My new axle is here a day early, so we're gonna throw that in and also replace the gear oil in the transmission. We're gonna leak a bunch when we pull out the axle. We're gonna try and get this done and be back on the road. So the last video I mentioned how when putting coilovers into a Yaris you have to reuse some of the stock parts. That is still true, but I made a mistake. There's this like bushing bearing thing that goes on the stock shock tower, and apparently you need to reuse that. I could pull it off of my stock shocks that I just took off, but honestly these bushings are pretty mangled anyways, and it was only 20 bucks to buy a new kit. So I got both sides of the bearing bushing things and the inside bushing. This is very different from how normal coilovers go in, so this was a little bit of a struggle, but I figured out a way to do this so it isn't so much of a pain. I just successfully did the passenger side, so now I'm going to do the driver's side with you, and I am setting my ride height to about, let's say about halfway. Yeah, it took like a surprising amount of research to kind of learn what you're supposed to do with one of these, because it's not like it's a relatively common car to modify to this extent. So you have your normal coil with your normal coil top hat. It's already in there, and my brake line is zip tied to this, so you're just gonna have to remember. And from there you take your bearing and stick it in the top of the coilover top hat, that golden piece on mine. Then you take the bushing and you put the bushing on the bearing centered. Now I'm just gonna leave it like that for a second, because here's the trick that I found out. Okay, that's one. So jacking up the rotor, I'm able to guide the coil into place, and I have the cover off of the top. I'm kind of slowly jacking it up and guiding it into where the bushing wants to sit. Pretty well centered. I'm just going to slowly jack it up more. The sway bar end link in place. Now I can grab my 19, tighten this up. I have more than enough thread to do the top part, stock top hat, and the bolt that comes from the coil. And then in theory, I should just be able to grab a 17, impact the shit out of it, and she in there. She in there. I have my 19 nuts back here, and then I'm going to be double checking my tightness. Grab a 19 wrench, just in case this spins, which I doubt it will. Hit it with a breaker bar, make sure it's really tight. Okay, breaker bar, breaker bar, breaker bar. All right, there we go. Greetings from my new recording studio. We can talk about the new recording studio when it's done, maybe in the next episode. I still got a little bit more work to do in here, and then we can chat about it. But over the past week, I've been working on building a new recording studio, and it's really great in here. I'm excited to show you guys, but I want to show you when it's done. Last episode of the show, you guys watched me make a front diffuser body kit lip extender thing out of out of landscaping separator stuff. There's a term for it. I can't think of it right this second. I can't take credit for that idea. While I install the side skirts, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here and tell you about my Uncle Dan. My Uncle Dan is someone that I've spent the majority of my life living with, and so I got to watch him and my grandfather build all these incredible builds, and I learned a lot. And I still call Dan all the time and ask him for help and pick his brain on what I am doing wrong when I'm building things. This dude knows a lot of stuff, and he's been a really big inspiration to me throughout the years. I grew up in Massachusetts, and then my family moved to New Hampshire. All of New England is incredibly strict. It's an awful place to live. It's a horrible place to live. I hate New England, every single state. There is lift laws and tire laws in all of New England that make being a vehicle enthusiast, if you want to do like monster trucks or off-road builds or rock crawlers or anything you want to do, a nightmare. The entire car scene in New England is a nightmare as well. It is unbelievable. It's on par with California, and that's what I grew up in, so we had to be really creative with things. And my Uncle Dan came up with a plan when I was a kid. If I can find the picture of this, I'll put it on the screen. He had this really cool YJ rock buggy Jeep that he did an incredible amount of work to. What he did to not get hassled for how wide his tires were and how aggressive his lift was is he built fender flares out of this garden stuff, because we've never been like rich people or anything like that. So we've always just been people that make it work with what you have around. That's like a skill that I'm really proud that I've inherited, is just figuring out how to make it work with pretty much nothing. My last race car, all the body panels were made out of the recycled dog kennels, you know? And so he used this garden separator stuff to make fender flares so he wouldn't be hassled by the police. And I was like, man, I always thought that was so cool. And I figured that needed just a second of a story, a second of showing some of Dan's cool builds and showing some appreciation for all the wisdom over the years. So thank you very much. Let's keep it rolling with the video. So you know how my headlights are pretty neat looking? After putting the spoiler and rear diffuser on, I felt like the taillights just didn't match the same vibe. So it's time to make our own taillights. Behind this cover you can get to your taillights, and I believe it's only 2 or 3 10mm, and the whole taillight comes out. There's some clips and stuff. It's not that simple, but it's pretty simple. The whole assembly out. That way, after I build the headlight, I'll be able to retrace my steps. So this is our brake light, reverse light, turn signal. Really easy. So I'm just going to tap into those wires and it should be pretty good. But for right now, what I'm going to do is bake this in the oven. What? Oh yeah, I got a second one. Now it's time to do the livery. So I really love how this car is looking, and my plan was to go super over the top with the livery like I kind of always do. But this car is starting to look pretty cool on its own. So I'm gonna do something a little different and take a slightly more minimalistic approach. Slightly. Okay, so I think that about wraps things up for this video. The next video you see, we will be racing at round 3 of SCCA Autocross in Las Vegas. So get excited, another racing video, and we're gonna be driving this thing. This will be my first race with the finished coilovers, all the new mods, and I'm so excited.
Like once I did, there's just no going back. There's no going back.